Hello, welcome to Wonderland here in St Helens. It's a mental health centre, is that correct, Dean?
Yeah,
It is, yeah.
for the community.
And as you can see, we've got Dean Owen with us. Now, Dean, tell us a little bit about yourself, because obviously it's new to me what you're doing, and I've come along to interview you regarding what you're doing. So just explain a little bit what you do.
So although we're based here at Wonderland Community Centre, we're a separate organisation. So we're a community interest company, which we started in 2019 with the primary role of looking after the welfare for veterans, emergency services, NHS, prison officers, and COVID hit. So it was a struggle for everything. So we didn't start any therapy work. What we had to evolve into is distribution of aid, so food, prescriptions, and then we got involved with Operation React, which was looking after the homeless, basically in and around St Helens, who were staying at various hotels.
Yeah.
As COVID progressed, we then fell into. We actually got quite a lot of referrals from a Northwest police force, and we ended up dealing with, I think it was 223 at the time, police officers and support staff.
Wow.
As we was doing the therapy, we needed a permanent base, and Steve, who owns or operates from Wonderland, I contacted him. He put an ad in the paper, and I said, "Look, we're looking for a place where we can come down." So we came down. Just loved the vibe of it. You come in, everything's different. You know, it kind of like knocks you off your balance type of thing, but in a really good way. And we started work from here. 2022. I've been watching the news and was constantly watching the build up for the second invasion of Ukraine. People often forget that Ukraine was invaded before 2022. The first invasion was in 2014. But I was watching the build up. Being a bit of a military history buff, it was kind of mirroring in certain aspects of the Second World War. So on the 23rd of February, I put a shout out for clothing, food, first aid kits, medicines, things like that. Very, very quickly, we got overrun with supplies.
Wow.
So one of the areas within the community centre, we started off here in the main room. That became too small, so again through Steve, he operated a cafe from here. He closed the cafe down. He said, "Right, you can store supplies in there," and it just grew and grew. There was a number of organisations that were coming towards me and asking me, you know, what can we do and things like that. And I quickly found out that 40% of aid wasn't going to where it should be. And so myself and a former Royal Marine Commando, good mate of mine, Rick Coulson, give him a big thumbs up there because it's a bit of a difficult time at the minute. We made the first run in. We loaded the pickup truck that I've got. We made our way into Ukraine.
So did you go in blind and you wasn't sure what you were doing, or did you kind of suss it all out first on what you could do and what you couldn't do and head over there? Or because you're military anyway, you were able to negotiate?
I think kind of a bit of both. We were always aware of who we was going to meet, so during the planning, we'd be introduced to various people. A lot of due diligence would take place, open source intelligence, so anything we could glean off Facebook and other messenger social media. and it was successful. You know, we made it in there. We were involved in, I think, about six air raids for the time that we were over there. Made some friends, long-lasting friends, on our first trip across. So again, a bit of both, a lot of your military skills come in. I'm even going to say, even from when I was a sea cadet.
It just shows
Some of
you
those
that
skills,
even a small amount of skills helps.
massively, especially tying knots. You know, you're trying to tie cargo down.
I still have difficulty tying my shoelaces.
But yeah, so we get, it was a bit of both. We was over in April 22. That's when we went over. We went through Lviv, and then we visited places. We were called in and dropping items off to the military. Irpin, Bucha, where the atrocities had occurred, and then we dropped down to Kiev, and then met up with an organisation there who kind of like looked after us. And then we started to do some on-hands training for certain units. That you know, these guys and these girls had either come from all corners of the world, or they were local people who'd never been in the military before. So we started teaching them some military skills
to help them while they're
I mean, basic first aid stuff, or one of the courses that they push out there, and I think it's a fantastic course, and we're kind of developing that, and it's an American course. It's called Tactical Combat Casualty Care, and it's fantastic, and it is saving lives. You can only save lives though if you've got the equipment, to do it, and the knowledge. We were lucky that we had.
You had, yeah.
So yeah.
So when you first went across to the Ukraine, how did it feel, and how many of you went? Because I mean, obviously, you needed help, and how did they come about going with you? Because obviously they needed training as well to go over there with you.
On the first trip, we just upped our skills, made sure that our first aid was on the bob. I'm not too bad with mechanics, so we knew if we broke down,
you were okay.
We were going to be okay. We just used the one vehicle on the first run across, and then subsequent visits. You know, there was other vehicles with us. And I'm lucky I've got a good team. So
yeah. Well, you have to, don't you? In them situations, you need people you can actually trust as well. How did they feel? Were they nervous about going over there? Because obviously you're going into a war zone.
Yeah, it's you're going into a war zone, and that's, you're planning for it, but you haven't got a date. So that it's not affecting you as much. Then you get the date, and then that's, you do start thinking about things. I've got this in place. I've got that in place. Should anything happen, but again, we were lucky. Some people might say that going to the places where we visited, well, it's not the war zone. It's not the zero line. They were still getting hit. So the whole of Ukraine's a big target, and it's a country at war. And we have been down to the south regions, stuff like that soon.
So how do people identify you? Because you're taking aids in. How do they identify that you're not an enemy, or you're not you're not against them? Do you have some kind of flag on the car, or vehicle?
Yeah.
Do you have something like that? So both sides know that you're not there for.
Yeah. So we do have vehicle markings on there. but we also know where we're going. So we will have paperwork to say that, you know, if we're stopped at a checkpoint, a border crossing, or whatever, you know, we can produce this document and say, look, you know, they're delivering aid to wherever we're delivering aid.
Yeah, and that's for both sides. Even if the Russians stopped you, did they stop you at all, or were you? I know it sounds a bit silly, like, but you're in a war zone, so
Yeah,
you know.
no.
And I'm not. I all I'm picturing is
No.
you're turning up at these places, and you know, obviously the Russians have got certain sections of it. I know you can't talk too much about what's going on over there. I understand that. How long were you over there for? Were you there for a week, 2 weeks, or did you just go there, deliver what you needed to go, and head back?
Yeah, sometimes you can drive all the way there, get to the border, hand stuff over there. I think we've done it once, and then the rest of the times we go in, and you know, we'll make our way, see the people that we've got to see, so that they know that we're there. And then if there's any help that they need, or they may ask, you know, we've got somebody or some soldiers that need move into a particular area, and if it's on our way, then of course, you know, we'll say, yeah, come on, we'll take them, and then we move on to our next objectives. Of all the objectives or missions, however you want to term, well, you have a core mission, and in that core mission, you're going to have objectives. We hit every objective that we wanted to do. You know, from delivering ambulances full of aid to delivering a vehicle, and then of course to delivering aid, you know, to where it should be going. And not stuck in a warehouse that's not going to be used. So yeah.
And the people who go with you, and obviously the people over there, how does it affect them? Because obviously, you know, mental health wise, how does that work with them? Do you have to sit with them and talk to them, like it's a debrief, isn't it, in a way?
A lot of your debriefing's done between the team, and we could be in a vehicle and we'll just start talking. I do suffer with my mental health. I was diagnosed with what was called chronic PTSD. Now it's called complex PTSD, and people have asked me about that. Why are you going over there when you suffer with this? And I don't want to say it's a calling, but since the age of 16, you know, I've been helping people, whether it's been in the British Army, whether it's been in the prison service, or whether it's been in the police. And I've always come back with a different view, where things that would really get on my nerves, something simple as like the remote control not being where it should be. You know, I'd flip. But loads of irritating things that would make me go off. Now it's completely irrelevant due to what I've seen in Ukraine, and how stoic and proud a nation they are.
Yeah, it's funny with mental health. I agree with you. I mean, I've suffered with it as well, and it's funny what helps you, what supports you. Now, your way of being supported is by going over and helping Ukraine and seeing it's made a nice impact on you in a good way, and I understand that. So people who come with you on the trips to the Ukraine, and when they come back, are they offered any kind of support if they need it?
We've got our own therapy team. We're quite lucky that, in the sense that the team that comes out with us, they are in effect No Duff volunteers in any case, and they're always former military, or former members of the emergency services as well. You know, so we can cover a great deal. You know, where anything from former police officers, veterans, to paramedics, or even, you know, mental health. So a lot of the debriefing and a lot of the stuff is done when you're driving, albeit when it's the driving, it's when you're out of Ukraine. When you're in Ukraine, you know the whole team's got to be alert. So yeah, and then on the way back, we have a bit of a decompression, and we get the ferry from a particular country. We can let our hair down and have a beer and have a chat.
And that it needs that, doesn't it? You know, you need that from the intensity where you've been. You need that wind down to relax and come back to reality, really. Now, when you've been to the Ukraine, you've come back. Obviously, there's a gap in between when you go again. What do you do yourself to keep yourself occupied? And obviously, you've now got to organise again to go again. Is that what you do in between? You just, as soon as you come back, you're starting again, ready for the next.
It's bizarre because I always say I want just a break, but it's during those break times that I'm not my best. So we'll carry on with our primary role, looking after the UK veterans, looking after those that meet our demographic. So we're back in on that, and when we're away, there's always somebody there that's picking up everything else. So we're not losing anyone. And then I do start thinking what we're going to do next. But now we're working with some great teams, some really good units. That's just what we're geared for. So we solely do medical stuff now. So delivering medical aid that can be utilised at the front, at the zero line.
Right.
You know, people do need it in the cities, but I'd say not as much as we're
out there,
you know, on the line, so to speak. Right.
So Dean, before we finish, can people get in touch with you to help, to support you, or you know, if they want to go with you, what's your advice on that?
Well, first of all, we have started a detachment of No Duff, which is called a volunteer aid detachment. So at the minute we've got UK veterans that are involved, and with that we've also got some Ukrainians who are involved, and they're all volunteers. So we teach them again the medical skills, certain military skills, but also some adventure training thrown in there. And we've developed it because if there is a disaster in the UK, whether it's flooding, gas explosion, you know, the emergency services need help. You know, anything from, we'll go around in one of our vehicles, we've got water, you know, we could provide food, you know, to help them. And then they're not using one of their own resources up that can be used type of thing. So I'd always say, like, come and see what we're doing at the volunteer aid detachment. Initial contact, if I can give an email address out.
Of course you can,
email address for the volunteer aid detachment is noduffinfo@gmail.com. You can visit our website, which is www.no-duff.com.
And Dean, before we do go, have you got any advice to anybody who's planning on going to help support the Ukrainians with aid? Have you got a little bit of advice before we finish?
Yeah. Don't go to war zone. No, I know people are really kind of, they want to go and help, but you've got to be doing it for the right reasons. I would say that it's better if you've got a military background.
Experience,
it's better if you've got emergency services background. If you haven't got that, then you know, come to us. We can do some training with you. You know, we also know other organisations who will help. and teach you in hostile environment work, and it can be, well, it is. It's a hostile environment. You know, there's no ifs or buts. But yeah, just give us. Send me an email. I prefer emails. It's documented then, and then we can move from there.
And the email will be on the scroll down below somewhere here.
Yeah.
So Dean, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And good luck in everything you do. You know, it's fantastic what you're doing. And to be here at the Wonderland Centre, you couldn't get a better place, could you?
No, I love it here.
So I'll let you get back to your dog.
Yes, I know.
And what your work's doing, you've took time out.
Translate a document into Ukraine.
So again, Dean Owen, thanks very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
We really do appreciate it.
And thanks, Jamie. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.